In the upper part of the mapping view, we see the involved systems, in this case Euclid and SAP. We see the selected substance name, benzophenone, in both systems, and we see the unique identifier. The unique identifier can be helpful in case you have duplicate entries of the same substance in one of the source systems. In the main part of the view, we see the different sections, which are analog to the sections in the Euclid 5 system. We have here, for example, substance identification, classification, labeling, manufacture, use and exposure, and so on. We can click on a section in order to expand it. We can see now all the fields of this section and the corresponding values of the fields in the Euclid system and in the SAP system. A double arrow in front of the field name indicates that this field data can be harmonized between the two systems. A log symbol indicates that this data cannot be harmonized. This can be because either one of the systems is not supporting this field, or it is acknowledged that the value will be different. In our case, we see that the public name field is highlighted in red. This is because it is a field which can be harmonized, but the values are different. In this case, we can select the field by clicking on it, and we see now that the buttons for moving the value from the left to the right, or vice versa, are enabled. In our case now, we want to copy the value from the left to the right, which means we are setting the public name value in the SAP system. We see now that the value is highlighted in red color to indicate that this is a changed value. We can also move back by just clicking on the undo button. And we can test the moving from the right to the left. In this case, the value in the Euclid would be set to empty. Now let's move back, and we also see that if there's one single red field in one of the sections, then also the bubble in front of the section is red. Now when we harmonize this data, the bubble is getting green, indicating that in the whole section there's no difference anymore. After we start now changing data, we can see that this button has been enabled. This means that we can store the changes to a local draft. There's another button next to it which allows us to save the changes back to the source systems. This will only be enabled once all the sections are indicating that there's no difference anymore. Therefore, let's continue to the next section where we have a red bubble in front, which is classification and labeling. Here we can already see that there are multiple fields which have differences in the SAP and in the Euclid. In order to see only the fields which are different, we can press this filter symbol here on top, and it filters out all the green elements. We can see that there's a difference in the general information, and we can open it and here harmonize by either selecting the field and pressing here, or by harmonizing the full group structure. In this case, we can use these buttons here. In our case, we set the SAP value now also to solid. Furthermore, we see that there's differences in the hazard statement and in the precautionary statement. Also here, we can decide now that we want to move the values from the Euclid system to the SAP system. And now we can see that all the data has been moved to green and the full section has been moved to green. The last section we need to fix is the section for the physical and chemical properties. As we have still activated our filter, we directly see only the fields where there are differences. So obviously the physical state is not set in SAP, and we copy over the Euclid value. The same goes for the partition coefficient. And finally, water solubility is also not specified, and here we can copy over the full group structure from Euclid to the SAP system. Now, as all the sections are green, we can see that this button on top has been enabled, which allows us now to save the harmonized data back to the server. At the end, we can see that the changes have been successfully applied.